I'll begin this video by explaining that we have been learning about decimals using a grid model, and that this piece of grid paper that we have here has 10,000 little tiny squares. So that's our smallest unit. I outlined the yellow outline on the very biggest square to show that a 1 by 1 dimension equals 1 unit. So this whole giant square equals 1 unit. One striplet is 1/10 in fraction or in decimal. One of the little squares is 1/100th. I always tell the kids it's like a penny, and the striplet is like a dime. The strip matlet is 1/1000th because it is there are 1,000 of them on this whole entire grid, and the little tiniest square represented is 1/10,000th. When I have the kids use the grid to multiply decimals, I have them write the equation at the top, make an estimate, write the dimensions, make the array and find the partial products, which is the hardest part, add the partial products to find the answer, and multiply to check. This method gives kids an understanding of why when you multiply decimals, the number actually becomes smaller, because you're taking a fraction of a number that is less than 1. So although the number becomes longer, it actually becomes smaller. I'm going to try and demo this on this piece of paper, and you need to forgive the shakiness because I'm taking the video myself and it might not be very visible, but I'll do the best that I can. So to begin, I have the problem at the top, 3400ths times 4600ths, and I'm going to label the dimensions of this grid. So I have 0.3400ths and 0.4600ths, and the kids know that this is a linear tenth, so I would go 1 or 10, 20, 30, and then 4 of these little guys down, so that's 3400ths of a linear unit. For the top, I want to do 4600ths, so I go 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I usually use a ruler so that we can be precise, but oops, I went too far. That's okay. You'll get the gist. And then we make our model, which is our square. Pretend that's not there. Okay, so going back to this model right here, I told you that one of those little squares is 1/100th. So the very first step that we do is we figure out how many of those we have. Okay, so in the beginning I go so far as labeling these all so the kids know. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hundredths. So over here, I would write 12 hundredths. These skinny strips, I said were thousandths, and I know there should be 6 of them going across. So I'm going to say that's 6 thousandths, and that's 6 thousandths, and so is that. 6 thousandths 3 times gives me 18 thousandths. So I'm going to write that here, lining up my decimals. Pardon me, that should be a 1. Sorry for the mess. And then I should have 4 thousandths here, 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 and here. So if these are all 4 thousandths times 1, 2, 3, 4, that should be 16 thousandths total. I'm going to put that over here. And then my smallest area right here should be 6 times 4. So that should be 24 10,000ths. And I tell the kids that when they're thinking about how many places after the decimal, that one way to think about it is if you were to write a fraction 1 10,000th, there would be 4 zeros in the number. So that's how many places after the decimal that you would have. 1, 2, 3, 4. So putting my decimal there, thinking that I said that was 24 thousandths, would be that. So 0, 0, 2, 4. And then, excusing my messy writing, I just sort of fill in the zero so that I can have columns. So I have 4, that's an 8, a 6, and a 2, so that's 16. Carry, 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 5, and 1 plus nothing is 1,564 10,000ths. What I usually tell the kids to do to see if they're in the right ballpark is 2 things. The first thing I have them do is see if they were to do this using the standard algorithm of multiplication. So they would write 34 hundredths times 46 hundredths. And I tell them to think about this without the decimals. So 6 times 4 is 24. Carry my 2. 6 times 3 is 18 plus 2 is 20. Put my placeholder down. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry my 1. 12, 13. I hope this works out. Sorry. And 4 plus 0 is 4, 6 plus 0 is 6, 2 plus 3 is 5, 1 plus nothing is 1. So I have 1564 just like I did here, and I tell the kids when we add, we button the shirt, so the decimal just comes straight down, button, 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 button. When we multiply, we count the places after the decimal, and that's how many places after the decimal we want in our number. So since there are 1, 2, 3, 4 total places in our multiplication problem, that I want to have 4 numbers after the decimal in my answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my answers match. So I know I'm in good shape. And that's how you do multiplying decimals using an area model when the numbers are less than a whole number.